Hello everybody, it's Ryan here. So I'm doing a quick Twitter impressions vid of the Microsoft show because I started tweeting and then I just kept deleting the tweet over and over again because I just feel like I had way too much to say, as I often do. And I figured the Twitter vid would make a lot more sense because a complete Microsoft focused video on the main channel, which is mostly PlayStation, probably not a good idea. Probably gonna get a bunch of dislikes, and the people that don't follow on Twitter would be like, why the fuck are you doing this? So, Twitter vid of the impressions from Microsoft's 2017 E3 conference. I'm looking at some of your replies right now. You know, it's a little bit polarizing. It's like I said in my first tweet. A lot of great games. There's no problem with the amount of games they showed or the quality of games they showed. You know, I think that's another very important thing. Not only was there a lot of good games, but there was a lot of different flavors out there too, you know. Let me get my shit over here and backtrack a little bit, because really, that was kind of the whole thing, right? You had Deep Rock Galactic, State of Decay 2, The Darwin Project, DBZ was up there, Black Desert, The Last Night, the Ori sequel, Shadow of War gameplay, Life is Strange, Ashen. You know, there was a lot of stuff there, and there was a lot of flavors for everybody, and that's great. I never really have a problem with the type of games that Microsoft shows, but it goes to what I also had tweeted with as a follow-up. I think a big problem is they keep doing this whole console exclusive first bullshit. You know, these guys they're not winning. They know they're being outsold quite handedly, and I think that's a big problem for them, is that every time they do their E3 shows, it's been like this the past 3 years with them, is that they're showing great stuff, but it's never anything that's, I guess, would be particular to Xbox. Now, when you watch Sony's show, for example, they kind of make it, and here's the thing, Sony does the same shit. They will show third-party games, they will do the whole, coming to PS4 first, nonsense or whatever. But I guess what I'm kind of getting at is that they don't necessarily do it to a degree, and what Sony typically does is that when Sony does their games, so Sony Worldwide Studios, they spend a lot of time on them, and they make it very, they put it out there like these are our games, and they kind of make a big deal about it. Whereas Microsoft will, sure, they got a little flashy with bringing out a new Porsche 911 for Forza Motorsport 7. Yeah, they kind of went a little over the top there, just like Sony did last year with the orchestra for God of War. But but that's it. And then they move on, and then they show all these great games, but all these things, that's what I'm saying. As a consumer watching the show, you often sit there and think to yourself, a lot of these I can play elsewhere. And it's not necessarily particular to the whole fact that it's Xbox One and also PC, for example. People like to bring that into play. I think it still goes into what I say on the main channel, and I still believe this. I don't think Microsoft is as concerned anymore with Sony's numbers. But at the same time, they are still going to take those shots when they can to Sony. For example, with the fact that they now have the world's most powerful console. They made that point very clear during this show. They want people to know that, and that's all well and good, because they will have the most powerful console. So they still make their efforts, so to speak. But what's interesting is that, and this goes to their other announcement with OG Xbox games being backwards compatible now via software emulation. We just talked about this on LTPS. It's a goodwill to the customer. It's definitely a feature that is not, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be something that people are going to really use. And I even said, I don't necessarily know how you could measure how successful that's going to make Xbox long term, but I think that's what it is. They're doing this in sort of a sort of long term vision, I think. Now that they're unifying Xbox and Windows, and now that they're bringing OG games to Xbox, now you've got a situation where if you buy an Xbox One currently, and once they build up that library of OG Xbox games and add more 360 games, you can buy into Xbox starting at Xbox One, right? And then you've got everything at your disposal. Much like PC, when you buy a PC, you're basically set, right? Your limits for playing games is there is no limit. So now Microsoft bringing in OG Xbox, they are set. Whereas Sony, they're 3 platforms deep. If you were to start on PS4, I mean, you're pretty much boned. If you want to play a PS1, PS2, PS3 game, chances are it probably won't be on PS4 via remaster or premium PS2 games. You might have to go out and get the older platform or use PlayStation Now, which people still don't want to do, and Sony's really bagging on that being a big thing in 5-10 years, and that's the thing. I think they're really pushing it for the deep long term. Who knows if that'll hurt them now, but people still don't want to use PlayStation Now. They'll take jabs at Sony when they can, but they're still very much so doing their own thing. They're going to unify Windows and Xbox. They're going to have it so, if you do want to do the console route, you're good. Now you got all these games you can play, where Sony can't say the same thing for their legacy of PlayStation titles, and we all know Sony does have that legacy of PlayStation games, but they're not going to invest in that, and I get their viewpoint for not investing in it. We, just mentioned that on Friday. So I think everything that was shown was good, but they got it like, oh my god, the whole console first thing is just like, what's the point? A lot of it is just it's like, it's almost like Microsoft show is middle ground. You know what I mean? Like anybody can watch the show, even if you don't own an Xbox, you can watch Microsoft show and look forward to their games, because it's going to be your game too, because it's going to come to your platform at some point. I mean, what was actually full exclusive there? I mean, you got obviously Xbox One X, Forza Motorsport 7, State of Decay 2. I'm not going to bring up all the ones in this because I just have to read through this, but I know they had more. But the majority of the show was stuff that you're going to be able to play no matter what platform you own. The Minecraft announcement I think was awesome. That's totally cool that they're unifying. And no matter what platform you're playing on, you can play, and that's great. People still seem to forget that Microsoft now owns Mojang, and they're still supporting the PlayStation platforms. That's great. Being able to play that's a big game. I love Minecraft, so I have no problem with that. The Xbox One X, we'll talk about that real quick. It's a premium machine. And it's exactly what we knew it was going to be, $499. We were expecting that. That's why I would have been shocked if it was any lower, and that would have been really great if it was. But let me reference that other tweet. Now that we know both of these machines are going to be out in the wild, PS4 Pro, Xbox Scorpio, and you got people that get emotionally attached to these stupid fucking arguments. Now you got people saying, Xbox One X, it's more powerful, but it's expensive. PS4 Pro, it's not even true 4K games, but it's a cheaper machine. It's one or the other, you know what I mean? So you have to pick your poison there. Sony, I think, this time around, I want to say they went with the smarter route of making the machine less expensive, but considering they're, comfortably selling as many PS4s as they can, I feel like they could have gotten away with making a super, super powerful PS4 priced at around $500. I feel like they could have got away with doing something like that. Whereas Microsoft, I think, is more in a position to do what Sony did. Release a more powerful Xbox, do all this goodwill for customers, but don't blow your load on it. You know what I mean? Make the thing $400 some odd. Add in 4K Blu-ray support, which Sony still isn't offering at the current time, and that would encourage more sales to get people to, actually jump into your platform. Making a super premium box isn't gonna, especially with that show, especially with a show that's not showing people reasons to specifically get an Xbox. So I feel like the roles of what Microsoft and Sony are doing with their mid-cycle consoles could almost be reversed, and it would work out better for both of them. But Sony has also been playing the cards very well the past few years. They know they are not going to make the same mistakes they did in 2006. So that's why PS4 Pro is not super crazy, but hey, you're going to get better looking games, you're going to get better looking performance, and it's $400, which is already a price people are comfortable with paying for a console. Microsoft once again going the $500 route, that's fine. They got they got Xbox One S down to $200 now for the next week or so, which is a really great price. I just think it's almost polarizing. They'll take their jabs at Sony whenever they can, but they know that they're just not going to catch them at this point. I think they've kind of realized that. But they'll still take the jabs when they can, and then on the side, they're just kind of like, we'll just do this. Let's get people into the PC environment. Let's get people into, having an Xbox One on the side with a PC or something. Let's offer people the highest fidelity we can give them, the best resolution, the best frame rate. And while it's always true that those things have never been what defines the leader of the marketplace, 2017 is a very different time than, say, 10 years ago where the most powerful console didn't make sense. Nowadays, people do like that extra performance. They do want that extra frame rate. And it seems like in the last 3 or 4 years, more and more people are starting to understand frame rate and resolution, and more people are starting to care about it. They're not the majority by any stretch of the imagination. But it is becoming a more commonplace thing for people to talk about it, for people to care about it. So I think that's another reason why Microsoft's kind of banking on that. Overall, wow, this is already a 10-minute video. I think it was a great show with great games, but it is it's the same thing that they've been doing for the past 3 years, and I think that's very troubling for them. You're just showing a lot of stuff that is good for all gamers, but I think you need to show things that is good for Xbox gamers, and I think you need to show things that are good for people that don't own an Xbox, and you need to convince them this is why you should get one. Anyway, we'll talk a lot more, obviously, on Tuesday morning. Technically, it'll be super late into the AM, but it depends where you are. After Sony's conference, and I'll do a legit YouTube video with a nice camera. My hair won't look like shit. My hair won't look like shit, and I won't be super overexposed because there's a window right here, and it's still daytime. It's actually really nice outside. But I'll see you then, and we'll talk about however well Sony does. At this point, I think that Sony's got a good shot at being seen as the winner this time around. This is me saying this without seeing Sony's show yet. But I think after what Microsoft showed, Sony's in kind of a good position to be in the public eye of being the winner. I almost hate having to say that every single year, but that's what Microsoft's been doing every single year. And I think E3 is a place where you need to show new stuff. But not only, and Microsoft did that, but not new stuff. You need to show shit for your console that people can't get anywhere else. Sony likes to do that a lot. Microsoft needs to do more of it. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. We'll talk about Sony stuff, and we'll compare the two shows and whatnot as we often do. Anyway, thank you all for watching this impromptu Twitter vid, and let me know if you want to see more of this whenever crazy news stories come out. Peace out. I don't know how long this is going to upload.